Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video, and we are on our Dino a Day review series, and we are onto the Parasaur, a tame that a lot of people almost forget about, if you want to say that. It's just something that they, kind of throw off to the side because it's not useful late game. However, in reality, it is very, very useful. People just don't remember some of the things that it's capable of doing. So I've got some stuff here set up. First off, let's check out its stats. Now, its health does go up a little bit, but it's nothing extraordinary. It doesn't have any sort of reduction in damage, none of that kind of stuff. So kind of not really useful for soaking purposes. Stamina doesn't matter too heck of a lot because these guys can go for pretty much as long as they need to without losing much stamina at all because they can run forever. Oxygen doesn't matter. Food doesn't matter too much. We'll talk about why you want to level that in a second though. Weight can matter a little bit, not too much though. Melee, they don't have a high enough melee to really justify anything. Now their movement speed can sometimes be useful to level up, but that's entirely up to you. So with this thing, the Parasaur, you can see that its stamina basically just doesn't go down when it is running. It's not very fast by any means, but early game this is a nice little transport mount, because if you get a decent level one, you can get 1100, 1300 weight on it easily without much of a problem. And early game it gathers berries, which is quite fortunate, as you can probably figure out on your own accord, but that's not why you're watching this video. You want to know why this thing is something that could be useful. So let's talk about why it's useful. So this guy, early game, great. It probably should be your first tame because you can get to saddle at an incredibly low level. I believe it's like 10 or something. It's not hard to make a saddle at all. They have the ability to gather berries, carry lots of weight. So early game, it's phenomenal overall tame because it's faster than most of the early game tames like a trike or a stego or something like that. And it really is just useful. So that's that. But late game, how this guy becomes useful is a little bit different. Two things. One, as a base defense. And then two, it becomes useful as a how do I say this properly? Anti-vault, we'll call it. And what you do with that is you want to level your Parasaur in two different things. One, jack it up to stamina just around 4,000. That's not too bad of stamina. Then what you also want to do, because your stamina doesn't matter too much on these guys, I just give it a little bit in case it has to run or I have to move with it. You want to jack up the food. Now the reason you want to jack up the food, it can go stupid high by the way, but if you jack up the food, they consume a lot more food when they use a special thing. Now that special thing that these things use is actually really kind of unique. I'll show you right now. So it's got this right here. It's got alert settings. I'm sure you're noticing that. So when you turn on turret mode, a little yellow indicator comes on above his head. And what I can do is I can kind of look at all the different things that it can indicate me and tell me what's nearby. So I'll go ahead and go near a dodo. And when he starts to recognize that something is there, I'm going to go ahead and targeting range from high. Let's see here. I don't think I really want to change anything else. That should be pretty good. And you want to go ahead and not ride him. But with the alert settings, you can do a couple of different things here. You can disable. I usually like to have it on all if I'm showing people what this guy does. But he'll kind of indicate anything that's a danger. So things like dodos, these will not get, I guess, explained when they're there. If you bring him over to something that could actually hurt you, this guy will actually tell you where it is, how it is, all that kind of stuff. And I'll show you that in a second. Looks like we got a baryonyx over there. Let's see if I have a far enough range to detect him. I should. There he is. So you'll see he detects the enemy. You can look around and it'll give you a bright red indicator wherever that thing is. So you'll see down there, that's where he's detecting it. Every give or take 10 seconds or so, he will actually indicate where it is again, so you can kind of track it. It's not a perfect tracking system because it tracks the last known location, so it'll ping it at that moment in time, and then that thing's got about 5 to 10 seconds to move again. So how can this be useful? This is how. Because a lot of endgame tribes, in Purlovias, in basilisks, in anything that can hide under the ground, what they'll do is they will take a tame, they will bury it in the ground, just like you see with this basilisk. They'll store a lot of their loot inside of it, because enemies cannot see this little pile. This is like only for if you're in the tribe. Can you see this pile? And when you do that, this guy basically is invisible. Now, I would not know he's here unless I had help from my friend, the Parasaur. So, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and unclaim this guy because, well, that's just how this game works. You have to do it this way. We're going to go ahead and set up the tribe so that when we leave it, tribe taming, creature ownership, tribe owned, structure ownership, tribe owned. There. So now we're going to leave the tribe. Tribe of teacher. Sure. Cool. Now you can see this stuff disappeared. I no longer know where this basilisk is. I mean, I know where it is because this guy can tell me where it is, but I don't actually know anything about its location. It's getting dark too, so I'm going to go ahead and claim this guy. Notice that he will actually tell me in a second here once he actually determines to, there we go. So he'll tell me where the enemy creatures are. I can see that there's a marker here, but there's no tame. So when he spots something like this, what happens is that I know something is under the ground. I'm going to go ahead and attack this baryonyx just so you can see that these things aren't really warriors by any means. 44 damage, and I've cranked its melee just a touch. These things are not very valuable when it comes to fighting by any means. It's enough to take out a small creature, nothing like large by any means. Like a normal baryonyx, if I was an equal level, he has me pinned in the air, I would be smacked by him. So, if you're flying around the map, you take a wyvern, and you carry your parasaur, and it'll automatically detect any enemies. So if you find someone in the field, something like that, this is probably one of the most useful tames. I'll show you how to do that in just a second, but that's, kind of how it works. Once you have this, I'm going to go ahead and get some C4 for us to show you how to pull these out of the ground. Let's go ahead and already have it. Nice. So, if I actually, well, let's just say I want to blow these guys up because why not, right? Explosions are fun. I know that they're there. I make them go boom. They can't attack me because they don't actually aggro, so this is a great thing to do. And how is this one alive? That's impressive. I'm very impressed with you, Parasaur. There we go. Alright, so because this Parasaur is telling me where it is, usually you can do two tests. You can pull basilisks out of the ground and Purlovias, sometimes with C4 if you get lucky. You run away from that. You only need one. But it'll pull it out of the ground and murder the thing. Notice how it's just like, blasted into oblivion. And I'm going to go ahead and make it bright again because I can't see a darn thing. Man, I hate when this happens. But anyways, you can pull it out of the ground with that tactic right there. And once you do that tactic, you use that guy to find it. Oh, well, there we go. And you just blow them out of the ground. And then you have access to their inventory. So you basically get free access to any loot that's under the ground with a Parasaur. So that Parasaur, it will give you access to finding all of that stuff. And a lot of people, and I'll show you where to go right now, just because it's something that, you should try for sure. Hopefully I spawned in this wyvern and it doesn't just want to eat my soul. We're going to see. Fire wyvern? Be nice to me. Ah ha ha ha. So, what people like to do is they really like to get on their fire wyverns. And when they do that, they crank up their stamina way high. So they have like a tracking wyvern, if you want to call it that. And these people will just do it like when they're bored. Because on a lot of setup servers, people take their loot because they don't want to lose it. They put it in Purlovias. They put it inside of these basilisks. If you take your Parasaur, it's going to drive me nuts. These got levels up. There we go. And what you do, you just hop on, pick this guy up, and maybe, because he's not going to let me, and he will detect anything as you are flying. So you turn it on to players and tames only, and he'll tell you exactly where any player or tame is. I have him set to all. You'll see him kind of like freak out as he sees anything that's dangerous. We haven't found anything dangerous yet, but once we do, he'll freak out. And he basically becomes a mobile detection unit. So you'll see he has detected a ton of things right here. Now I have it on everything, so this is something that's going to look a little bit different than what you'll see when you're hunting people. But basically, he'll give you the detection unit of anything that you want it to. So if you want to just track players, let's say you're in war or something like that, you can literally just set this guy to players only, have him fly around, and you'll be able to find any player just by carrying the parasaur around. People don't use this strategy enough because they kind of just like play the game of, ooh, I see him, or ooh, I don't see him. If you put a parasaur down, put it inside a box, it'll detect anything nearby. So he will, I mean, he's a mobile unit where you can just literally radar anything. You can also drop him down and then leave him inside your base or inside your walls, and whenever someone gets close to your base, he's also going to let you know that they're nearby. So, really great overall unit. You can see he's detecting these raptors right now. He's got a pretty good range, and they work pretty well for detecting pretty much anything you want. And you'll be able to just go out and smoke things because you'll know they're there. Now, it does tell somebody that it knows you're there, so that's kind of a negative, I suppose. But other than that, it's a required tame. Probably in the top 10 most useful, not the most used or the best for like combat or anything, but the most useful dinos, it's definitely a necessity to have this guy. So that's kind of just how it is. All right, anyways, well, hopefully this review of the Parasaur helps out. If you're not using one, you're making a mistake. You got to use one right now. All right, teach out.